brutal first encounter. As you saw a golden ship on the horizon and began to approach, taking the very safe method of scouting out with only two pairs of dragonelles instead of all of you, try and remain stealthy in the kind of midnight darkness of the ocean. Didn't work out too well because you lingered for so long and got close enough to the ship so you could make out proper details. Kind of high risk, high reward. They rolled shit the first time, but eventually spotted you, and you were met with some new technology. At least most of you have not seen this. Some of the artificers could potentially examine it and have a decent idea of what it is, but grappling cannons. Large nets attached to a grapple hook that got sent out up to a range of 200 feet with disadvantage, but they still rolled incredibly well, as I did all of last game. A blessing and a curse as a dungeon master. Um, Taking down Mustang and Reese's Dragonelles. Both of you decided to go all in. Mustang literally diving into the bottom of the ship using his ethereal form, and Reese just grabbing onto the side of these metal nets and riding it to the ship. And so, a very epic battle sequence kicked off with everyone doing hero landings and doing these awesome maneuvers to get into tactical positions, which was really awesome to see because the Dragonelles were there for a reason and you guys utilized them. So I love that. Um, Maeve also dove like 80 feet out of the air and landed on the ship using phase step, which was a badass entrance. Unfortunately, the universe decided that Maeve could not and would not achieve anything, as the rolls did not reflect how amazing the descriptions were, and as we saw later on, how actions went on through saving throws and damage rolls. Um, a fight broke out. Kipley got charmed, which again, I do apologize. Charm person has not been used in a while, and the DM's brain can easily get scrambled. Um, we had a very powerful hobgoblin encounter. The goblins didn't really do a whole lot. They got massacred very early. Mustang essentially soloed about 6 goblins by himself. The rest of you struggled on top, as there was a large golden ram that seemed to be animated by the hobgoblin captain. The hobgoblin vice captain, who seemed to be this strange mix between a monk and a little bit of a caster. Um, and of course, the hobgoblin captain himself, which was this brutal caster type uh, destroyer with fireball, lightning, the ability to fly, gust of wind, and mix that with all of his allies and using goblins as shields. It took a lot out of everyone. Multiple people went down, multiple people were at 1 HP. We had, in total, I believe, 9 critical hits throughout the night. It's either 8 or 9, I forget off the top of my head, but a lot. Um, and through all of this chaos and all of this complex battle that you haven't really experienced before, as most enemies that you fought aren't coordinated, don't have high tier magical abilities, and aren't as well versed in combat as these were, you suffered the first potentially permanent casualty of the campaign, as without a powerful caster to bring her back, and with no one having the correct spells prepared, you watched as a massive fireball consumed Maeve, bring her to her last bit of energy and health before the golden ram in her face charged up a breath of flame and released it, causing Maeve to perish. Which I do apologize because a whole lot was going on last session. But Jared, um, in Maeve's last moments, was there any final words that you would like to utter out or say to those around you, which would be Kipley and Mammoth at the time? I will make a note and I will do my best to keep that in action for the future in case this happens again. Hopefully not. But that was something that I do want to check in on because that is very important.
How dramatic do I want to be? You said Kipley's right next to me?
Kipley was right behind you. Her charm was just broken, and Mammoth was about 10 feet above you on the Dragonelle, throwing arrows at the captain that was right next to you.
Cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna apologize to Kipley, out of character,
Oh
uh,
no!
for
Oh,
this.
oh
You did
god.
Uh,
this to me.
yeah.
Oh boy.
Maeve, as she's passing away, is going to um kind of feeling the grips of death take hold, is going to grasp the talisman that Kipley
Oh no.
um, provided to her, um, remove it and hand it to Kipley, and she's going to simply say, "Figure you'll need this more than I will," and she's gonna pass away.
Yeah. As the burning embers consume Maeve's form, and you can feel the heat causing your singed skin an immense amount of pain, but eventually the pain dulls as you enter a state of semi numbness. Starting from the waist up, you lose the feeling of your legs. You can feel your eyes beginning to go heavy. And as you kind of have the gauntlet fall to the deck beside you, looking up at Kipley one last time, the lights fade out, and Maeve Dumbala is no more. A mere day's journey out from Paradise Peak, a deadly encounter, an unlucky twist of fate led to the demise of the party, of one of our original members, of one of the Paradise Peak's uh, most devoted paladins, and all of your close friends. And as the last bit of Eldritch Blast energy was gathered, with some of those words in mind, with all of the pain, anger, and confusion that this fight caused, Kipley finally struck down the Hobgoblin captain, the de-animated ram falling into the ocean, the nightmare flaming horse, straight out of hell, eventually kicked its rider off and sent it to hell, unfortunately taking itself with it, leaving behind no obsidian statue for Mustang. Poor guy will have to get a second chance later down the road. Um, and you are all left on the deck of the sealed deal, alive for the most part, as one companion down, a night of pain and anguish upon you, and a number of your dragonelles and persons still critically injured. We pick up there tonight as the burning flames and cinders of the many fireballs, breath attacks from this ram, and explosions from both your own party members begin to sizzle on the deck of the seal deal. All the goblins lying dead. Some magical items and simple loot collected from the bodies. But as you all begin to notice, one by one, as you step onto the decks, You begin to free the dragonels chained. You begin to take head count of who is present and all of their conditions. One by one, you make your way to the helm of the ship, where you can see Maeve Dumbala, armor, scorch marks, adorned with scorch marks, excuse me. The helm of the visor tipped up, and the eyes closed as she faces the night full of stars, not breathing, showing no signs of life.
I think
The
Kipley.
night. Okay.
Yeah, I would just say she's probably just drops to her knees next to her, and I mean, no tears, just a look of shock kind of on her face, and like the talisman just kind of resting limply in her hand. She just kind of rests another hand on Maeve's chest, and then after a moment, she just kind of shakes her and calls her name a few times.
No response. As your fingers touch the cold steel armor, you can see the slight shimmering of the mithril reflecting in the moonlight. But her eyes remain closed, and you see no breath being taken in. The body jostles from side to side. You can see at this point, with the signs of combat dying down, and the night air becoming as silent as the deck of the ship, the dragonels, one by one, begin to land on various parts of the sealed deal. And you can see Doran, the black dragonel that Maeve had ridden it on, begins to climb his way on the side of the ship, kind of making his way over to the body as well. You see he just begins to sniff at it, kind of nudges Maeve's head a little bit, sees her move unresponsive. And after a few moments of silence passed, you hear this baleful cry escape from its throat. This draconic, almost groan of pain. And one by one, the other dragonels begin to let out this resonating, almost ominous, what would be roar, but a much duller, much more sorrowful tone, as they hold it for about a minute, just letting it resonate amongst the night air, kind of filling the dark ocean around you, and eventually dying down as they all begin to lower their heads onto the deck, curling up, wrapping themselves with each other, kind of forming a little dragonel pile, and beginning what looks like to be their own stage of mourning.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. She just kind of looks up at the rest of the party.
Is there someone we can reach out to for help?
Kipley will start digging in Maeve's pocket and look for her coin.
Vassalship token?
Yeah.
You find it.
She pulls it out and tries to activate it. She's never even used her own. She's
No.
just
You just fumble with the coin for a little bit, kind of wiping the tears away, trying to make out the details. You see the symbol of the Drawcart family crest kind of pressed into the stone. And as you begin to try and contact it, reach out in the way that you've seen your allies use theirs, you feel a sharp pain in your shoulder. And you can see a dim light kind of pop out from underneath your clothing as the crest of Evelyn Kroll begins to emit a dull kind of grayish, blackish energy. And you are unable to use another vassal's token unless you are of the same house. So as you attempt to reach out to Ada, you get no response. Although if you would like to look for her token, you do find, I believe, 215 gold?
she's not. She's just gonna
But I
tuck the
assume you're not
coin away and. I don't know who to call. I don't know what to do. I mean, we can't just leave her here. None of you have anything.
Rictus shakes his head, looks down at Maeve.
Reese shakes her head as well.
And if you'd like, both Rictus and Reese can make me Arcana checks.
On a
7, 21. Rictus caught up in the moment, having a hard time thinking of anything, if anyone, that could be of use. 23, excuse me. Reese, you try and gather your thoughts of any method that you can think of. But even with your limited knowledge of healing magic, you know enough about the arcane in general to have a grasp that unless someone acted quickly after her death with the correct spells, either Revivify or Gentle Repose, there's nothing that vassals, adventurers, awakened of your caliber can do. And the next options for spells that could help her are far out of your capacity, and also far out of your price range. There are potential other ways to bring a soul back if you know where that soul is located and who is located with, as so souls go to different places upon death, depending on where they die, how they die, and what creatures, if they had any, in their life, made pacts, deals, or oaths with.
I have information that we have about her background. Would we understand where that soul might be held?
With your information on Maeve, and I'll leave this mainly up to Jared. I don't think Maeve openly admitted she worshipped one god or being in particular. Um, and the Dambalas, while her grandfather is extraordinarily powerful being, he is not a god in his actual nature, so it would not be in his care. Um, it would either be in the care of a specific deity that would rule over the ocean, or it would go to where most souls without um, a specific destination go, which is Avernus. So I don't believe Maeve actually mentioned her worship of any major gods to
I don't
the
recall
party,
it.
right, Jared?
No, I don't
Yeah,
think so.
no,
Yeah.
she's very private about her
Yeah.
worship. Surprisingly.
So you knew that Maeve was one of the few people that actually cared about religion, but she never told you what religion, if any, she dedicated herself to. So you would have no idea. Your only guess would be either Avernus, or you can also make me a religion check. 21, nice. Um, the next best thing, and kind of putting these two ideas together, like crossing off the list of where potentially she could be.
Mm-hmm.
The you're not exactly the most religious person in the world, but you do at least know of some of the more common deities, um, and
Just well
the
studied.
yeah, you've taken like some like basic courses in schooling, and through that you've learned like by proxy some names of gods that even like I kind of like a college religion class, like you learn about them for like maybe a few weeks and then you forget about most of the information because it's not too important. The god of the ocean, Sitar, is known in a very it's both seen as a cruel and caring way of all of those souls that again don't have a strong connection to another plane entity or specific location through their worship pacts or bonds are taken specifically to his own plane of existence, which in relation to our lovely world out of character would essentially be similar to what is a Davy Jones Locker-esque plane of all of the souls that have passed at sea gathered in one place where they will be forever in a paradise of an island that never runs out of food, fruit, but will also never be able to escape uh, any with any method of sailing, any method of ocean travel, or be able to experience any of the pleasures of the sea ever again. So that would be your next best thing, or depending on what ties this potential crew might have had to Avernus, could also be Avernus. Because you did see there was a few fiendish and straight up hellish, both individuals and kind of entities um, located on the ship. So you don't know its exact extent to the infernal, or even perhaps abyssal kind of planes and peoples, but it is potentially an option.
Kipley reaches down and just kind of gathers Maeve into her arms and just kind of checks out a little bit. She just kind of holds and just stares blankly forward, just kind of rocking a bit.
Gotta hold the armor. I mean, your small form, kneel down, cradle Maeve in her head, and her head and shoulders, and you can feel the familiar weight of Maeve's armor and her very muscular form kind of limp in your grasp. You just kind of coddle her and look into her facial expression. Um, I will ask Jared as well. What is the last impression of Maeve's kind of muscularity, her features of her face as she passed away? Anguish, peace, confusion, any kind of last bit of I know, I hate this deceased. I know it's every time I look at it, it's like, oh no. What was the last if there is any expression on Maeve's face as it begins to fade?
I think that she said what she said to Kipley in a making light of a terrible situation. So there is a smile. I think as her eyes kind of like are locked in the direction that Kipley was when she handed the trinket off. Um, and it kind of loosely slips into like a partially cracked smile.
Yeah. And as you stare down, you can see now that it's been a few minutes and you've been talking and watching her. The muscles in the face begin to give, and the kind of half-cracked smile begins to slowly fade to just a peace, a lack of emotion, facial features, as the body begins to release any last held tension or being that was contained within it. As people who, the majority of you, have a background in death, at least seen it in its bare form, this is their first time in a while facing the reality of your situation. As Reese explains the information, those of you with higher intellect have it naturally set in, and those who have the capability of healing spells realize how useless it really is in the face of Maeve perishing without the right materials, the right spell slots, the right preparations. In this moment, the six have a moment of recognition that Maeve Dambala will be no more for at least a very long time, if not permanently. See Mustang kind of wandering on the edge of the group, kind of staring at Maeve, walks to the edge of the ship, kind of sits down on the railing and just begins to look out over the stars in the sky, silent, clearly having their own thoughts and feelings washing over them. Is there anything else that you guys would like to do?
Reese just sits beside Hipley and looks around everybody. The only really thing that we could do for her is return her body to her family. I don't know enough. Even if I could, in my field through necromancy, I don't think she'd appreciate it anyways. I don't know what to do.
I wish this would stop happening.
Me too. We're turning around, right?
I think we need to.
We have to.
Maybe we should search the ship. Maybe they have things. Something that can help.
Reese nods her head a couple times. You just wait right there. She pats Kipley's head a couple times and gets up. Goes down to the cargo area of the ship.
Rictus would follow.
Is it really dark down there?
It's just pitch black. There
So
is
she-
actually some kind of burning embers of the tables and wooden floor of the ship from Mustang's incendiary cloud, but besides that, it is lightless.
She just cast dancing lights so that she could see a little bit better.
Yeah.
And just start
Like, get really easy. You can see there's some. We don't have to go room by room, but if you'd like, you can give me a investigation check. You can either make 2 rolls, or someone can assist another.
I can.
I've got 7 on investigation, so like +7. So whatever you guys want to do there.
I have +8, so it probably wouldn't really matter.
Well, fine. You roll.
I just said it probably wouldn't
Well,
really
Mr.
matter.
Plus,
I mean, you just kind of one up, but you know,
Yeah.
you should totally
Yeah.
take it.
You
Why
may
don't
as
you
well
just
roll.
say you're better than me? So you can make two separate ones with your modifiers, or you can give Rick disadvantage. Up to you.
I give Rick disadvantage.
Okay.
Before you make the roll,
I
what's
just did it again.
always happens.
Sorry.
It's on me. It's on me. It's on me. What specifically are you looking for? Are you just looking for a general inventory / kind of layout of what this ship was / still is?
Probably look for anything that might house something more valuable, because if we were trying to find something to help her, it would probably be stored safely.
Right. Be locked up or something.
Like smaller lock boxes or... Yeah.
Anything in particular, Rictus?
Yeah, I mean, just what Reese had mentioned. Just anything that might look more
Okay.
important than everything else. A lock box or something, or a chest, lock chest somewhere.
One moment. As you, I was not expecting you to pass the DC 25. You know, I always set like smaller like levels, you know, this is a DC 10, like 13, 15, 18. Yeah.
Oh, we're not
No.
supposed to have it.
No. Certainly not. That is unexpected. I get this. There we go. Okay. I had to find the actual ship's layout. So the basic what you find of the ship and like what the like basic cargo was and what you can see of it, it's an odd assortment of loot. You can see it varies between alcohol. You can see there's textiles. There's some very fine silks and clothes. You can even see there's some kind of both in the mix of like there's a range of poorly made, kind of like scraped together tools, like semi broken down pickaxes, shovels, to some pretty like high end gear of there's pikes, halberds, all various different both weaponry, tools, and all different sorts of kind of inventory of a 26, you begin to put together that the more that you look at it, the more that you see the randomness in the actual loot on this ship.
Hmm.
Because you do find all of the previously mentioned listed items within the magic item channel. So you do see there's clearly a level of kind of competence above just bandits with these guys. They had multiple high tier magically enchanted items, had a decent chunk of gold, and were carrying all these different cargo. These were not just random party goers having a booze cruise in the middle of the night. This was a very well stocked and very well put together crew of what you would expect to be bandits, thieves, and pirates. As this looks like the loot put together is from different ships. And many different ships at that, with the various different quality of items and the various different variety of items. It just doesn't make sense for this all to be on one ship going somewhere. But for 26, what you do find is you find an additional in the captain's quarters. Because in the crew chambers, you find like every so often a kind of shittily made scimitar. You do find a few short bows. You do find a firearm. A kind of cobbled together flintlock doesn't look like it's in the greatest quality, but it is operable. At least you believe it is operable. You can bring it to Mustang if you'd like to get a confirmation, as he's one of the few people who knows guns on the ship. However, you do also find some interesting locks within the captain's quarters. As you see, there is a closet that is locked. And as you kind of look through the room searching for a key, you find that there's a kind of odd-looking sword hanging on the wall. And it doesn't look like it is combat made or have any like special perks or anything like that. It doesn't look magical from your initial kind of viewing of it. But as you begin to look around the room more and you can't find a key or any sort of like obvious locking mechanism, look back to the sword and you take it off of its display case, and it's like kind of mounted on the wall. And as you begin to look at it, you can see the case behind it has a small latch that was hidden, having the sword propped up on it. You flip it, and you can hear a click as the closet door opens, and you find a pretty large chest. um, also locked, but sitting in this closet. You can see there's some fine robes in there as well. What looks like to be this beautiful leather hide cloak, kind of props up at the collar. Has these large sashes that run down from the shoulders down to the cuffs on the actual end of the sleeve. You see like the red and brown patterns it looks like they have some sort of either military meaning behind them or some kind of like ceremonial purpose. You're not exactly sure of what, but it does look very well made. You do not see any wear or tear on it. And oh yeah, good.
Reese try to pick the lock on the chest?
I was gonna say absolutely. If you do you have feast tools or
Sure do.
you bet your ears I do. Absolutely. Go ahead and make me a thieves tool check. 12.
I'd like to.
Okay.
I'd like to expo that.
Immediately.
I didn't even wait. I
got a few things I like to talk about real quick.
Is there a way I could assist with it any? To give her advantage on it?
How would you like to try and assist on this?
I mean, she's got about 12 fingers between her two hands. I don't know if you could really get in there. And...
Okay.
Well, no. I'm not saying that as like a how would you Rick this. I'm saying
Well,
this,
no, I
if you
know.
would like to assist, like give me at least like a small description or
You
any kind
backseat
of
driving over my
method.
shoulder.
Oh, yeah, that absolutely could do it. Could be you trying to use your tools, your like tinker's tools, expertise or anything like that. How would Rictus, in his knowledge of an artificer, try and help pick a lock in this case?
I think he would try to like talk her through it. Even though he's pretty sure she knows what she's doing, he would still try to help talk her through things. Like, oh, turn it this way. No, you got to put it in like this type thing.
Okay. Go ahead and roll one more time. Natural one. Cool. So that's advantage on the roll. It doesn't count as a separate roll. If it was, your tools would be broken.
Yeah.
That's good for you. But
Yes.
you find yourself unsuccessful in being able to get through this chest, or at least
May
get
I-
through the lock. And this is a
Yeah.
very well made lock. This does not look like it is a shitty chest on a ship in the middle of the ocean with no actual like defenses behind it. All of the items on the ship pretty well made, at least pretty high quality. The fact that you found this and like you actually have found the chest in the first place shows this was pretty well hidden and pretty well protected.
Mhm.
So any commonplace lockpicking skills, at least in this case, does not seem like it's gonna cut the bill.
Can I spend an inspo point on re-rolling that?
You already had advantage, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
You can again try again, but the DC continues to get harder and harder the more you fuck with the lock.
That's fair. I'm not
Um,
gonna touch it again.
So no, you can just if you continue to get below 5 on the DC, you will break the lock.
Or the tools or roll everything.
Oh, the natural one would break the tools. I'm not gonna break the tools for getting like a low roll, but
Yeah.
you can continue to attempt to, or if you have
She
any
sort
other
of just
method of trying to get it open.
Scratches her head a couple times and looks up to Rictus. Maybe there's a key on one of the captains upstairs.
Maybe so. Is there maybe a key in the closet as well? There's that cloak. Maybe there's something in the pockets of it.
You check the pockets of the cloak. There's nothing in it.
Oh,
It looks
okay.
like this hasn't been used in a little while.
Gotcha.
Mm.
There's not like dust on it, but you can definitely tell
Mhm.
like the way that it's placed and how well conditioned it looks. It does not look like someone could just throw this in there and it looked that good. It was clearly put here and then just has been kept for safekeeping. But you can look around for another key. With a 26, you don't find. You didn't find a key on the captain upstairs. You don't see any other immediate key or any sort of lockpick mechanisms in the area. At least not with the initial search.
Would we need to roll a separate search for that?
You can if you'd like to continue looking for it, but with the fact that you like, just
It
with
would
your
be
passive
really high.
intelligence, yeah. Well,
Mhm.
you know, like the fact that you found this on such a high roll,
Mhm.
you have the confidence that like you've already done a damn good job of just finding the chest. The fact that you haven't found the key, hey, just go ahead and make me actually. Fuck it, just give me an intelligence check.
Okay.
I think it's fair. I'll give you advantage because you rolled so high previously.
Okay.
Okay, 20, perfect. The
You want
fact
me
that
to
you have
roll again
not
or
found
no?
the key, you can if you like. If you get a natural 20, just crit fish,
Just to see.
just to see.
No.
Crit fish,
And
that's funny.
yeah, you crit fish on the where crits don't even matter because it's a ability check. You like with a 20, putting 2 and 2 together, the fact that you look so well throughout this room and on the ship in general, and you look for the cargo, you look through people's pockets, you didn't find a key. leads you to believe they didn't have access to this chest either. So
Right.
the more you look for the key,
Gotcha.
you begin to realize, like, yeah, you can continue to look and you might find something else, but looking for the key specifically,
Mm-hmm.
I
How
probably
heavy?
not gonna find it.
How heavy is the chest?
It's a big fucking chest.
It's a big fucking chest.
It is it's one bigger than Rictus. It's about
It's not saying much.
yeah, no. It's about like 4 feet tall. So it looks more like fuck. I immediately forgot the word as soon as I pictured it
Like
in
a
my
trunk.
mind. Exactly. Like kind of like the smaller wardrobe trunks that you see a lot in kind of medieval based media or any kind of shows where it's the ones on the ground and you open it up and it's just a massive fucking wooden trunk.
Hmm.
It does not look like you could carry it out of here very easily. And the lock on it is pretty big as well, so
I
it
cannot
kind of
put
it
it
kind of
in my
eases your
vassal
mind.
token.
You cannot put it in your vassal token. You would have to be able to lift it up to put it into your vassalship token, and even
Fair.
then,
Yep.
you think in your head, if you tried to get it out of your vassalship token, then you would be
Oh, yeah.
throwing because you don't know like what heavy contents are inside as well. So even if you
Mhm.
did manage to lift up and put it in, when you throw it out, it could be hurling like hundreds of pounds of materials inside of the wooden shell at wherever you're trying to put it. But again, you can try and make another lockpicking attempt if you have anything of your specific class or spells that you'd like to try. You can absolutely try.
I do not.
Anyone else?
I'm
You
just
think-
I'm just thinking for a second.
Yeah, nice.
Do you think we should tell the others about this? Maybe one of them might be able to help.
She nods her head a couple times. She still seems to be in deep thought.
As she looks at the character, she pulls up. What the fuck can I do?
She shrugs her shoulders and gets up and heads back to what Rick just recommended and seeing if anybody else has something that will do with it. When we were searching or passing by, did we see any maps or like shipment?
Maps? No, but that is not
Okay.
exactly surprising.
Given
As
who was
it's
on the boat? Yeah.
well, not for that reason, but maps in general are semi-useless. As again, most islands are not set in stone. They move, even if it's like a slight shift. Even
Mhm.
going off a couple miles, just writing down where they are is not. It's not information that's useful to a lot of sailors,
Fair.
as you cannot rely on them. But you do see there is a record of the ship of where it was last docked at, and you can see it's not like a very like detailed docket or any sort of like journal of all of their entries. You can see there's a few like really roughly written, sketched out names of islands on there. Two of which does catch your eye because you do see Paradise Peak. It had made a journey to it. There's no record of it docking there, but it does say that they scouted out the island. You assume probably looking for anyone that was leaving in the middle of like the evening or trying to arrive in port, and they tried to rob them unsuccessfully. But you do see there is the island of let me go to the list here. Orabunda. God, I love that name so much. There is the island of Orabunda that they visited about 2 weeks back. and you can see the note written in the journal has the information that the weapons, the two not Gatling cannons, the two grappling cannons, excuse me, just pulls up a fucking minigun to the side. The two grappling cannons on the side were purchased at Orabunda.
Hmm.
Both of the cannons are worth 5,000 gold.
Cool.
And the ship stayed there for roughly about a week. Something about repairs, and something about having a contact that they needed to meet there for a delivery. Now, are you sharing the information in the journal to the party, or are you keeping that to yourselves?
I would share it with everybody.
Kipley,
Yeah.
go ahead and make me a history check. 10? Okay. The DC is lower because you have it on your person still, and you recently read through it. The book that you were reading through on islands nearby Paradise Peak, and the history of Paradise Peak and its relation to those islands, it just slightly grazes your mind that Orabunda, the name, while that's not why you were researching for the book. That wasn't the actual reason of why you're there, so you didn't look into it too much. But the name does strike a bell, as you did see it while you were kind of skimming through. And upon opening the book back up and flipping for a few pages, you see there's a small insertion, a small little paragraph describing it. Orabunda is a pirate town, and a pirate town is a loose term because pirates, while they do exist in this world, there's not a whole lot of order to begin with on the sea. So to call yourself a pirate is a little bit redundant, since there's not really a governing body that would chase you down unless you stole from very powerful people or Paradise Peak, or one of the Brotherhoods. So most people unaffiliated with any of those are just kind of free game for any sort of bandits, raiders, or in this case, pirates. Orabunda specifically is one of the more well-known gambling towns, as it is a floating city on a raft that just kind of drifts around following the currents. And it landed on an island roughly about 15, not 50, excuse me, on the island about 50 years ago, the island of Orabunda, and it took its name to establish itself as a community, where people now go to essentially trade in a little less legal manner. If you're looking for anything that you could not find in most towns, Orabunda is definitely the place to go. If you're looking for any kind of contacts for very specific requests, or very specific items or auctions, that is 100% the island to go to. Its last known location, Orabunda's a little bit off Paradise Peak by only about a week and a half, opposed to Mistrin's 2 weeks. It's not in the same direction of Mistrin. It is north, opposed to it's a little bit more northeast, opposed to Mistrin just being directly east from Paradise Peak. But it is good general information that these guys were coming from a pretty bad place of pretty well-known pirates. So, Reese, do you ask Mustang to try?
Yes.
Cool. He goes, well, I certainly can't argue with the fact that that is a great idea. Walks downstairs, goes to attempt to put his hand inside the chest, and you just hear the pounding of coal hitting wood. And you see there is a
And
slight shimmer on the wood itself. as Mustang can pass through any non-magical, non-magical walls, objects, or anything like that. Unfortunately, cannot pass through magical items, which does give you hope that whatever in here is worth all this effort, because if the chest itself is enchanted, that is a rare thing for most equipment. Normally it's just large set steel and reinforced wood, but an enchanted chest probably has something good in it.
Can I identify the spell that's been cast on it?
Do you identify? Does it? When you identify an item, specifically say that you are actually, can you just post identify?
Yeah, I can just click it up.
Yeah, I think you just posted VBT. There you go. Instead of me asking a question, having the answer to it, blah blah blah. Learn its properties. Learn whether any spells are affecting the item. Cool. It's not a spell that you know yourself, but it is arcane lock cast upon it. And there is a reinforcement of an abjuration spell on top of that. Which essentially means it is very hard to break this. And the lock itself has been reinforced that it is very hard to pick it. It's still possible, but it has been made harder with this spell being cast on it. And you can tell this is not a short form spell. This is a long term, like, someone put a lot of effort to make sure nobody got into this chest but them.
Without the fucking key. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't have any sort of like fancy names for the chest or anything, but those are the two things that you can glean from identify. Yeah. Anyone else want to attempt or have any grand ideas? And the room fell silent. If there's a key, then there has to be a lock.
My favorite fucking scene. It's so dumb.
Love Supernatural. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So, you have the information that's there.
Yeah,
you can lock the door, because you know where the lever is. You know it behind the sword case.
The ships. Can we? Are we gonna? I guess I would just go back up with everybody and let them know that there is something down there, but we can't get into it, and that we can either take his body, her body back with the Drakes, or the fastest way to return her to her family, or we could limp the ship over to the nearest port. But both options, as far as she's aware, are not timely enough to help Maeve. Either way.
So we've lost her no matter what.
I mean, the box down there seems important enough to have something good, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's something that we need. And if you go by the odds or percentages, likely wouldn't have what we need anyways.
This is the second family member I've watched die recently. And I can't even do anything about it.
Reese just goes and sits beside him.
Should we just anchor the boat and head back then?
That is my next question. Does anyone here have the proficiency of water vehicles?
I have
Sure.
proficiency with cartographer's tools.
I don't think anyone here actually knows how to sail a ship, which is something I very much was interested in at the start of this campaign, if anyone would take.
Would
So
have been
if no one
helpful.
knows, oh, it would have. Emphasis on would have. The you can attempt to sail. You don't know how. Um, none of you have worked as ship hands.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you have been on ships before, but in most cases it was a dweller, and a dweller is a very different ship from just your standard galleon. And this is very much out of your wheelhouse of things. So you those that would if you want to attempt to take the ship back, because the ship is pretty fucked. The multiple explosions both below and above deck, you get the sense that it's seaworthy right now. And if you would like to use it in the future, it absolutely can be used after some minor repairs. But leaving this in the ocean for a few days and then coming back has there's some risks to it. 1, sinking. 2, theft. 3, everything and anything else in between. But you can absolutely attempt to bring it home for a few checks.
If I
That's
put
gonna be a
Maeve's
disadvantage.
body in the vassalship token, would it help preserve it because it's a vacuum?
It, yes.
You didn't say that out loud, right?
there is just the
He might
awkwardness
have said
of
it out
having
loud.
a dead body inside of it, especially your friends. You don't have to worry too much about decay if the plan is to bring her back, either by Dragonelle or by boat to Paradise Peak, because you are only about a day's, if not a little bit over a day's travel. Yeah, sadly, this occurred very close to home. You can't see Paradise Peak, but you can gauge the general direction of where it was, and at least one of you can guide everyone back in the form of Mammoth. So, yeah, you can put her in there. Absolutely. It's just going to be very awkward to take the body out. If you do that, you might want to take the body out before you show it to anybody, because you will essentially Pokeball out a dead person.
Oh.
They do say most accidents happen close to home. Oh god.
So offensive.
Yeah, here's your loved one.
Rictus. Rictus.
Yes.
You think between the two of us we could probably figure out how to sail this thing?
Surely we can. What
could you help
question
me
for
move
DM real quick, sorry.
Of course.
The boat's pretty much past the point of any kind of mending. Like, is there any part of it I could do some mending? No.
No. You could do some minor mending for how it looks. But looks versus functionability are two different things. The helm specifically got fireballed and lightning bolted twice. The translation to the ship's damage, if you would like to know your ship's HP, because it does have HP, and it does have an armor class, your ship's HP before the event happened was 350. After the fireball, fire breath, and all of the other damage numbers that I totaled up over the night, the end result was it is currently at, and it's still above, you need 100 hit points for it to function normally in any capacity. Past 100 hit points, and you're sinking. You didn't get there luckily, but it was close. You're at 100 and let me. I know it's 100 and something. Let me go back. I wrote this down before I left. So it was a absurdly low number for starting at 350. Yeah, you guys would just barely skim by. You're 147 hit points out of
Jeez.
350. So like
Wow.
it's seaworthy in the fact that it will keep afloat.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you're in the best of conditions. In order to repair this, none of you guys have paid for a ship being repaired. You don't know how much gold it'll cost, but it's pretty fucked up, especially the helm, because that's the steering device for the ship. The rudder itself is fine, so the rudder mechanism still works.
Mm-hmm.
It is the turning and actual functionality of the helm that is at question for the most part.
Okay.
So it's going to be pretty hard to navigate, especially precisely navigate. So if you're trying to avoid rocks and things like that, you're going to have a penalty on top of disadvantage.
Mustang.
Mustang, quick a smoke break to turn around and look at you.
Would you just help me move Maeve somewhere cooler and quieter?
Looks at his 12 strength modifier. Looks at Maeve. Well, I don't see anyone else. For my kind of... And he taps his shoulders a little bit. Vitality around, so sure, why not? And you two have combined effort. It's not easy because Maeve, unfortunately, while being the beefcake that she is, also has a lot of stuff on her. And unfortunately for you, this is the fucked up part. Her shield doesn't come off because it's still in the gauntlet form, and you cannot pull the gauntlets off of her. It is melded onto her armor. So you're carrying around essentially what is your carrying weight? I think it's like 300 pounds.
Mine?
Maeve's. I think it's around like 300. But that the fucking semantics aside, between your push or pull capacities, you can move it. It's just not going to be comfortable. It's like you pick up, you move a few steps, you put down, or it's going to be dragging. Whichever you two choose, you can go with. But it takes a while before you eventually bring her, I assume, to one of the quarters.
Captain's quarters?
Captain's quarters. Oh yeah, it's at the very back of the ship, so it takes you a good 15 minutes, but you get it done, and you kind of wipe sweat from your brow afterwards. You can see a little bit of steam begins to sizzle off of Mustang. His own fucked up version of sweat kicks in. Yeah, you eventually set her to rest, and she is safely within the captain's quarters.
She like folds her hands under her belly.
358 pounds, yeah.
Holy fuck.
A lot. A lot.
Including everything in the token, but anything in the token.
Well, the token doesn't weigh anything, so you're good in that aspect.
But yeah, so we get her there, we put her in the bed, and then she kind of brushes off her hands and goes back and finds Rictus and looks at the sails, and it's time to get to work.
He nods.
What would you like to do?
Guess we're gonna try to navigate this boat back.
Kipley, do you
Okay.
think you could assist
you-
in the sail management if we can figure out how to do this? What?
What?
I'll tell you what to do if we can figure
What?
it out. We need extra hands, and I'm just wondering if you're up for this.
Yeah, no, Kipley's got like she's like leaning over the rail, like sitting, legs hanged over. She's not going to be any use to you.
Yeah, Kipley's checked out.
Mustang?
What do you want me to do?
We're gonna try to sail this back home.
But like,
We're
me
going to need more
specifically.
hands.
I'm gonna be doing.
I'm just- Ghibli typing.
Ghibli is happy. What are you riding that book over there? Does he sound like a butcher? All right, I can only do so many country accents, and I cannot
Fair.
do.
That's
I
fair.
cannot do Ash's country accent. Country is honestly like one of my worst accents, just because I did the fucking like yuck like joke accent for so long. I got stuck with it, and I can't do an actual Southern accent. So
That's not too far off for some people.
deal with it.
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry.
So
I'm sorry.
I think before when we were coming in, you said they didn't have all the sails out.
No, the ship is slowly coasting. All
In the
except for
wrong
the
direction?
main mast is it's headed in like it's not head towards Mistran. It's headed southeast opposed to just east.
So she would just say just hang tight for a second, and she go over to. Does this boat this ship have a steering wheel, or does it just have like a tiller attached to its
It has the
rudder?
helm. It has the helm. It's a large ship. It is a
It's
its
a
classification is
full.
a its classification is
Yeah.
a brig or a
Oh, yeah.
brigand. So it's not like a small ship by any means. But the helm's pretty fucked up. And it has a whole lot of sails. So for someone who's never been at sea before,
Mhm.
it's a little overwhelming. But if you'd like to attempt to turn it around, and
Mhm.
also I want to say before you start, it is also midnight right now. It is the middle of the night. You guys have not rested, so if you want to attempt to bring the ship back, you will be pushing exhaustion, bring it back without sleeping throughout the night. If you'd like, you can absolutely anchor and attempt to bring it back tomorrow and have a little bit less of a threat. But if you'd like to just try and get it done and get it in port for sure, that is absolutely an option. And you can attempt to do it with, little to no light except for the moon.
I think light would be optimal for somebody that doesn't know how to sail in the first place.
Yeah. I'm gonna be real with you. You cannot see very far off of the ship, despite moonlight and everything else, kind of glistening off the water. It's just darkness. And you don't have. I don't think any of you even has a compass. Not that a compass would help you. So yeah, it's probably best to wait until day. But if you like to attempt to go for it, I will absolutely allow it.
I'm gonna wait for day. I think that's good, and then maybe she'll try to get Mammoth's help if he's got a better sense of direction than her.
Mammoth can absolutely lead you there.
Mhm.
Once per day specifically.
Yep.
Once per day
Nice.
specifically.
Yeah, I believe it's any known island that you have either been to or you have a strong enough description of. Mammoth can lead you there through his item. So very useful in a world that doesn't have guaranteed travel or common knowledge of directions.
Find the path.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a modified version of Find the Path, but Find the Path base nonetheless. And I accidentally exited out of roll 20. GG, go next. Alright, is there
Ooh,
anything else that you guys would like to
level.
before...
Yeah, that's right. I'm a bit of a caster.
I have some casting capabilities. Yeah, is there anything else you guys would like to do before you go to bed? And is anyone else, because I will ask someone, is anyone else going to attempt to open the chest? Or look into anything else while you're at it.
If Mustang isn't, Reese might go back at it one more time with the thieves' tools.
Just slowly making your way back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'll make one more roll.
23.
Oh.
Okay.
That was all right.
Whew. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. The DC was a base 17.
Mm-hmm.
Arcane Lock provided made it to 20,
Mhm.
Abjuration magic added +1. So it's a 21 DC.
Ooh.
So you go back and like you look inside the lock and you kind of put a dancing light behind you and you go fucking tumbler by tumbler specifically going like, okay, all right, I can do this.
Without
Look,
Rictus in your ear.
yeah, without anyone like trying to like backseat game behind you. You take some time, like, okay. You begin to go slowly, click by click. And this is a process of like most lockpicking takes like a few seconds at most.
Mm.
If not at like a minute. This is you taking upwards of 20 minutes slowly doing this because you realize that with a 20 free, if you try and go fast and you fuck up even one aspect of this,
Mm.
you will fuck the lock and you will not be able to open this. And the more that you try, the harder it gets. You just barely meet the DC to open this.
Mhm.
As finally, after fighting with the sphincter so long, you hear click, and the lock is undone.
Her eyebrows that probably contain no hair kind of shoot up for a second.
God, I was literally looking at your art a few days ago, and that crossed my mind. That adults just don't have eyebrows for the most part, at least non-defined eyebrows. Yeah, you open it up. For one, I'm gonna save you saying there's a lot of gold inside of it, and you have to count it out one by one. There is a sack of 1,000. I'm just gonna write it out so you don't have to write it down yourself. I have the loot in front of me. 1,328 gold pieces, 255 silver pieces. And on top of that, there is another sack inside of it that has an additional 50 platinum pieces inside of it.
She just puts them
Which,
all in her tote.
for those who don't know, platinum has a exchange rate of 1 platinum
10.
is 10 gold. So
She just
essentially
puts them all.
another 500 GP.
As she
I'll
like
put a
takes
little arrow
stock
for
of
that.
everything that she's passing through, she just puts them in her token for now. Not really worried about divvying them up at the moment, given
Just the others
the
don't need to
circumstances.
know about this.
No, not like that. It's just
I
there's
know,
more
I know,
important
I know.
things going on.
You do find that there is a few cases inside as well. They are very well made. Have these beautiful like ornate design patterns to them. Go ahead and make me an Arcana check real quick. This would be something that you could recognize from your general background and knowledge of items. 20 for your Arcana. It's a scroll case.
25.
25, excuse me, madam. 25. Well, you find an additional scroll kit. No. You see a few different scrolls, as scroll cases, and you can see that the more ornate they are, probably the more useful they are.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna go ahead and write all these down, but for some phones, there is. So you can cast Identify as a ritual, so you will eventually be able to go through all of these and save the process of it. You have a scroll of Control Water, a scroll of Ethereal Mist, a scroll of Dust Devil, and a scroll of Tiny Servant, all held within their own respectable cases. I'm gonna say, like, the more that you start to shove into your token, the more you're like, thank God that you did choose the vassalship route, because you would not be able to carry this by yourself without having some sort of outside item or like just person whose one job was to carry things in like a large bag or something. You kind of put those in, and you can see there is a beautiful ornate necklace that or some type of amulet that you're unfamiliar with the design of, It looks like it has some carvings on it that is not of this plane. Not anything you recognize. 'Cause I think you do speak a lot of languages actually. Let me take a look. What languages do you speak?
I speak
Do you
Common,
actually- oh my God.
Vidalcan, Gnomish. I think Elvish and Infernal.
And Infernal. Okay, so you don't recognize a specific language on this. Um, it looks like it is out of this kind of worldly make, but after identifying it and looking through it, it is an amulet of health. Which, for those who don't know, no matter what your Constitution score is, once you attune to this item, it immediately becomes a 19. It cannot get higher than a 19 by any points that you would add to it or subtract from it. But it is a permanent 19 as long as you keep attunement with it. Now, on top of that, looking within inside, you see there is another smaller chest within. And it is locked. I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
But I was not I was not expecting you to open it so early. It's about probably 2 feet long, like about a few inches wide. You would not know what this houses, but it looks like it's not too large.
That's
can-
going in my vassalship token.
Yeah, it is of reasonable weight and length that you can put in your vessel.
Is it spelled? Can she like feel any arcana based around it?
If you would like to identify the chest, you can.
Yes, please.
Take an extra 11 minutes. Cast identify on it. It is not magic. The lock, however, is magical. And it does tell you spells affecting it. Yeah. There is this is for sure trapped. This has a it is holding a spell that upon opening it, does it tell you that I'm gonna go back up. Does it tell you the specific spell it's holding for when it is opened? I don't know what they are. It was created by a spell. You learn what spell.
And what the spells are.
What the spells are.
This kills the DM.
Yeah. You know, when you have time to do this, and it's not like an under pressure thing, I guess. Yeah, it is. It is holding Destructive Wave. Which is a very powerful spell. And it's also an area of effect spell.
So she
You do know, with all of this information, it can be dispelled if anyone has dispel magic. But it will have to be a check, as it is held by a glyph of warding.
Interesting.
Mammoth has dispel magic.
Yeah, so you can bring it to Mammoth if you'd like and attempt to
Yeah,
unlock
is that's the rest of the chest? She'll bring.
There's nothing else inside.
She'll bring everything upstairs.
And I will know. Do you have access to detect magic, and do you cast it all, or are you just using identify?
Me?
Reese. While you're searching for all this.
I let go of detect magic last time.
Do you have any more spell slots?
Change my spells.
Or you can ritual cast it.
I've got one more. I've got one more spell slot, and one more second level spell slot.
Do you just go through identifying everything, or do you cast detect magic on top of that?
I don't have detect magic. Oh, you mean I can use it as a ritual because I'm an artificer?
If you don't have the spell, you can't cast it as a ritual. But if you did, you could cast it as a ritual even if you didn't have spell slots.
Yeah, oh, it's definitely on the list. Yes.
Yeah,
I
you
have
can
detect magic.
absolutely cast it as ritual. I was just curious to see if you did cast it, so it will help identify items within the chest and all of that. So you're not just like spending hours into the night identifying all this, because 11 minutes per item that you check, because it's not obvious what these scrolls are, what the amulet is, and what this box and what the lock on it is. You kind of feel like, if not, it's not the biggest deal.
Yeah, why not?
With your just base passive perception, the cloak is magical too. The very nice leather cloak that is hanging above this carries magic in it. It's just
Well, sure, great.
that's why I wanted to check.
Sure.
Because if you're looking for detect magic, everything would glow that actually has magic within the room, and you do see that the cloak is innately magical.
All right. Well, I'll just bring that up and then haul everything up and show the loot out to everybody and put the small box on the deck, on the floor of the deck, and just sort of ask if anybody's got the spells necessary to. Well, I guess it's called dispel. I suppose you said it was called.
Dispel magic is what you would need.
Yeah, I can give it a go.
Okay, and if she was given the name of the scroll while she was identifying it earlier, or
once you identify a scroll, you know the spell within. Yes.
Could she use scroll of control water, like prep it in case things go wrong with destructive wave?
I'm gonna be real. Control water, not gonna help with that.
Not strong enough. It is destructive.
Also, you can't like if you were to hold your action to use control water for any purpose, water is not going to dull the spell at all. As Shrouded Wave is like, it's not exactly something that can be like nullified by water in this context, but it's also something that you don't have to worry about in terms of if you're attempting to dispel it. If you attempt to dispel something like this, it's not going to
activate.
it's not going to activate. You just are having a chance to get rid of it before it does. If you attempt to pick it without dispelling it, then you would have the problem of it going off. Yeah.
Okay. Then.
So Mammoth, I need you to go ahead and roll me just a straight dispel. Actually, can you post dispel magic?
Yeah.
You have it. Because I believe, do you use your spellcasting modifier or just your spellcasting ability? You make it a spellcasting ability check. So go ahead and roll me a wisdom check. You're looking to be a DC 15. So you're adding, I believe it's plus 5 to this? Yeah. 13.
Can I info that?
You can if you like.
Nice.
21. So as you're beginning to form the dispel magic, or with the intent to get rid of destructive wave, you go to release it and you realize you do not have enough magical energy innately to get rid of it. So you stop the spell, try and start it up again, and with a second take, you kind of just dig deep and channel in a little bit, and you just hear like a distant rubber, and it inspires you to just release the dispel magic, and to your knowledge, destructive wave is no more.
To your knowledge. What an eerie sentence.
It does not. It does not specifically state that you know whether or not it is dispelled. As players, you know it's dispelled, but in character, you just see him make some symbols and kind of make this little gesture with his hand, and then you see a small wave of translucent energy hit the chest, and then just kind of fade off of it slowly. So you believe it worked.
Well,
I can take it from here, Mammoth.
yeah, I think it's all you.
Okay, would you like to attempt to pick it?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead and make me another Thieves' Tools check. 24. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Cool.
They have tireless precision. If someone was gonna do it, it
Oh.
was these motherfuckers.
I mean, with a +5 modifier,
Yeah, no, it's not that great of a modifier.
the like it is not insane that that you've gotten it, but the fact you got it back to back with both very high rolls for a very high DC item is insane. Um cool. You hear this one doesn't take nearly as long as the previous. You fiddle with it a little bit, but after about a minute you hear a click. And with bated breath, do you open up the box?
Yes.
An explosion rocks the deck nugget. The spell is successfully dispelled. You open it, and inside you see a very gorgeous red velvet cloth wrapped around something.
And she like grabs the cloth and like pulls on it so that whatever's in it falls like back into the box.
You pull the cloth away, and inside you see a gorgeous looking rapier. Something that if you like as you are you holding the blade within your hand? Or are you just
No, I let it
pulling the
fall
cloth
back
away?
into the I just pulled the cloth away, yeah.
This
For now.
for now. This looks just like over the top expensive, well crafted, and just holding it, just looking at it, it feels wrong to hold because it just looks so beautifully and well made that it looks like it is a crime for it to just be used as a weapon. And as you kind of study its patterns and its details, you don't recognize the build, make, or artisan of the weapon, but the just glistening of the blade, the fact that there is no scratches, no wear or tear to the hilt, no damage at all. It is definitely magic. No questions asked. And the fact that it was in a locked chest within a locked chest, it leads you to believe that this was specifically made. I had no intelligence check needed. This was made for somebody in mind. Because with the build of it and the like specifications of the actual rapier, the length, the design, which by the way I'm going to post a picture of it in a second here. I was looking for my downloads. I didn't actually download it. I just had it saved on pictures. It is a very beautiful rose-like design. It just reeks this kind of high status, kind of better than anybody else looking kind of aura around it. Let me see. You got yourself. Yeah, well, you're gonna identify it anyway, so might as well. You got yourself the, I believe, very first, very rare magical item of the campaign. This is one of my personal favorite weapons in the game. This is a dancing rapier. And specifically, once upon identifying, you learn its name. This is the Flora's Dance rapier.
Flora's?
Flora's Dance rapier. This is Dolores's rapier. No. But for those who don't know, I can pull up. It follows the base of a dancing. Actually, I think there is a specific dancing sword I can pull up. Yeah. Dancing sword. Let's slap that in general chat for anyone that'd like to take a look. But essentially, you after spending an additional 11 minutes, which by the way, Reese is gone for hours.
Is it
Between
11 minutes to
lockpicking the
cast it?
check, between
Identify?
lockpicking the chest, excuse me, identifying all the items, identifying the chest inside the chest, bringing the chest up, lockpicking this one, and then identifying the sword. You're looking at a total of like two plus hours, and it's already midnight. So it is now in exhaustion territory unless you
Fair enough.
sleep late into the next day.
Mhm.
But a dancing rapier you can use as a bonus action to throw this sword into the air. And when you do, you can throw it up to 30 feet in a direction, attacking a creature. And it uses your either dexterity or strength score, whichever is higher for the damage rolls. And you can continue to make a bonus action melee attack this way up to 4 turns before it returns to your hand.
That's pretty interesting. She looked at it for a while with somewhat excitement, and then she sort of mellowed out, realizing that she had this string of hope left inside of her that the box might contain something to help Maeve, and it's just another weapon. So she just like slowly closes the lid on it and puts it away. And she looks over to Kipley, who is she still sitting on the
Oh yeah,
framework of the
no,
ship?
the second her body was moved like elsewhere, she just gave up.
Oh,
But also you do see, while you're looking for all this, and actually while you're in the chest, sorry, I have to exit out of 15 fucking tabs. Say I had to open Pinterest and other Google Doc for that. You see there's a note attached to the bottom of the actual chest that stored the rapier within it. Let's see. Wonderful. You see is a small, kind of yelled out piece of parchment. Looks like it's semi nice material. Like the parchment is of good make. You can see even has some perfume sprayed upon it, which is only really done through nobility, as kind of a status that is confirmed someone of well make or higher power actually sent this. It isn't just a cheap knockoff or anything like that. You see it reads, Dear Celeste, your request has gone through. We have received your payment. Consider this a personal gift from me to you. I hope it finds your hands well, and I hope that it fits your personal activities, both of hobby and passion, and all of the previous scrolls requested, and additional further payment for our prior interactions are held within. I wish you the best, and I pray that going forward we can continue doing business. And it is signed Captain Vorkin. Go ahead and make me an intelligence check if you'd like. The name is just Celeste. No one, no obvious information there. 6. I mean,
she's
yeah,
tired.
you're tired. You've been identifying items and doing very tedious tasks for now about 3 hours. Putting two together isn't too easy. You're not really focused on trying to find the mysteries behind this. You just kind of go, okay, and then move on. Oh, and my apologies. I knew I was missing something. The additional cloak that you took from the closet, I assume you also identify.
May as well.
You're already getting a level of exhaustion, so while we're at it, yeah, while we here, might as well.
Yeah.
You take an additional 11 minutes. I just kind of propped up on the deck, being like, fuck it, we're already at this, might as well. You look through it, and it is something that you are not quite sure how useful it might be. And a little concerning of origin. It is a Hellhound's cloak. And with Identify, you do get to know that it is cursed.
Mm.
And the description is the dark cloak is cured of Hellhound hide. As an action, you can command the cloak to transform you into a Hellhound for up to 1 hour. The transformation functions as the polymorph spell, but you can use a bonus action to revert to your normal form.
That's
While it is cursed, Identify, I believe, doesn't actually tell you what the curse does. So you know this. While it could potentially be useful because hellhounds are powerful creatures, is also a cursed item. I'll just put in parentheses cursed. But that is the last of all of your materials and finds within this.
she's just as tired as I am. Is anybody else still like sitting with her on the dock, or did everybody else wander off and leave her to the tasks?
I think Rictus would probably have found somewhere to try to get some sleep.
Okay. She sort of just looks around and realizes that either everybody's clocked out or conked out, so she spends the last minutes of her possible conscious time putting an alarm on the top part of the dock, like somewhere around the center. And then she goes and finds somewhere to sleep.
As you all will go and find a place to sleep. Kipley being one of the only people, I mean, you're kind of phased out too, so it didn't really get you, but as everyone else finds somewhere to rest for the night, you see that Mustang kind of stays on the deck for a while, and is kind of like staring around, just taking in the night, and very similar to Kipley, just being in his own mind and kind of body of dealing with all the previous events. About 30 minutes goes by after Reese falls asleep, where you hear spoosh, as none of you dropped anchor, and you're still moving in the opposite direction of Paradise Peak. And
Oh my
luckily,
God.
Mustang has the passive perception to notice this and drops anchor to stop said approach, so it would not overnight continue to travel further away from your destination. Luckily I rolled a 15. If I rolled low enough, I was just gonna let it ride, and he was just gonna continue to go.
Jesus.
It would have gone far, but it would have been enough to inconvenience you for into the next night of arriving at Paradise Peak.
It would be our luck.
Yup. But you can all go ahead and mark down a long rest. But before we go the next morning, Kipley.
Yeah.
As you find yourself sitting on, are you sitting on the bow of the boat, stern of the boat, front, back?
From I kind of assumed she was sitting like on the front, just like legs hanging over.
As kind of the sea spray begins to wash over you, you can see that the night gets colder and colder, and you can find the moonlight getting a little more dim as it approaches that like kind of close to 3 a.m. morning, just darkness and stillness. You can feel, you can't necessarily hear the approach of anyone else. But you can just feel in the air around you a slight drift, a gust of wind, and then you eventually feel the tap of someone leaning back to back with you. You
She's
just hear, "I'm sorry. Sorry for your loss."
It's not your fault.
I was about to say the same thing. There's nothing more you could have done. You
Well, I
tried your
didn't
best.
do anything, did I?
You did. You did, Kipling. You can feel the smoky hand of your brother kind of tap your shoulder.
It's all strange. Just all feels so strangely familiar.
I know. But it's not the end.
No, but it's a continued pattern.
Yes. It's not a kind world you live in, Kipley. But you're still here. That counts for something. Don't hold offense that transpires on others. That is completely out of your control on yourself. So he just kind of leans his head against yours and says, "At the very least, you got vengeance."
That wasn't vengeance.
Feel the head lift off. I wish I could comfort you more. But I'll leave you with this. She was smiling when she was looking at you. A true smile. No false bravo, no fake words, expression. You made a true friend. You were true friends until the end. That's not something to scoff at, my dear.
I'm glad you think that. Unfortunately, I think this is the first time that you're wrong. And Kipley stands up and she's going to walk over to wherever that body is of the person that charmed her. And she's going to take out whatever fucking weapon she has, which...
I believe you have a dagger? A dagger or a short sword? You have two daggers.
She'll take out both daggers And she's going to take as long as she needs to cut this lady's head off, or this person's head off.
Yeah. Go ahead and make me a strength check.
Oh.
It is not dexterity to cut off a head. I'm sorry. Natural 20. Well, the scorn of a Kipley. You lean down, and it's not an audible rage. It's not a fever of expressed an outburst of anger. It is one of the more concerning forms of rage that fills you briefly, as it is the cold and calculated and driven part of you that just seeks out a goal and accomplishes it until you cannot physically think of it being done anymore. And as you pull out the two daggers, you begin to cut over and over and over again, dig deep into her neck, piercing the jugular, going straight for the vocal cords, and tearing and ripping. You are normally a dexterous individual. What surprises you is the strength and the force behind these daggers, as in less than a minute, only about 15-20 seconds, you fully decapitate this hobgoblin, and you don't even feel tired afterwards. You just feel this burst of adrenaline hit you as you look down, see the viscera covering the two blades, and the dark, dark crimson beginning to spill onto the deck beneath you. And you have her head. It was the female hobgoblin that charmed you.
Yeah, she just kind of holds the head up, looks at, kind of turns her head, and eyes not quite looking behind her where she knows Ezrin to be, and just they slide back towards the head, and she just leans close to the head and just says, "Who's the weak one now?"
Hell yeah.
And she's going to try and stuff it into her vassal token.
Vassal token? Oh yeah. um do you, oh god, I don't even know if you have anything to do so. Do you just shove the bloody head in there, or do you attempt to cauterize any of the, it's not like excessively bleeding because she's been dead for a little bit, but there is just blood slowly trickling out. And if you put it in your Valship token, you know, you have the knowledge that when you take it out, it will be still dripping blood, as it preserves the bodies and items intact perfectly inside the token.
No, I think she just puts it in.
Oh hell yeah! You just whoop, put it right in there. The body left behind. Do you turn away from it?
I know. I mean,
as soon as you pocket, or do you
she's
kind
just
of
kind of
stare at it for a
still.
moment?
I think she puts it in the token. She just kind of stands there for a long moment.
Yeah. As you stare at the body, you watch as the monocle. I always got the monocle. The small glass. The fucking god. Sorry. I'm having a whole ass aneurysm right now. The lens. Goddamn. I could not think of the word. The lens begins to slowly emit, opposed to like the dark smoke that you've seen multiple times and that Ezrin is composed of. The lens begins to leak out this chilling bone white material. not quite fog, but more like this dense, heavy, very thick mist. And as it leaks out, you can just smell the air go from like this oceanic, like briny saltwater like taste to a more rotting, festering, like murky kind of waft in the air. And you watch as it begins to snake to each and every single one of the bodies. And as it touches them, moss begins to cover their forms. You can see this sick green liquid begin to spew out instead of blood, and emerging from each one of their chests. A slow process, but as you stare at the bodies for a moment, small bone saplings begin to branch out. You can see taking many different forms. Some you hear these snapping as spines shoot out at almost an impossible angle, blooming out of some chests. Others' ribs open up, revealing terrifying imagery as the bodies are opened up in these almost disgusting and tormented ways. And her body in particular, you watch as the bones formulate together and kind of weave inside of each other to form this pillar, almost column of bone, unlike the others. And on top, you see there's just this small little, almost bowl that just forms naturally within. At the base of the spine, where it would be connected to the skull, just a small little kind of concave hole inside, and a green liquid just begins to fill it up, kind of sizzling as it does.
She, like, throughout most of that, like, her eyes kind of slip closed and she kind of squints, like twitching as she hears the breaking of the bone. But then as it starts to grow out of this one in particular, she just kind of leans down and looks at it. Does it look like it would be like, could she try and see if it's something she, you know what? No, she's just going to reach out and she's going to touch it.
Touch the liquid building within.
Yeah.
You put your finger in. It is a warm, disgustingly warm liquid. It almost feels like you're sticking your hand into uh, some kind of warm porridge. It has density to it, almost like a slime, a hot slime as well. And as you stick your finger in, kind of pull it back out, and just the substance remains on your finger, just kind of slowly dripping down.
She gives a little bit of a nod. Wipes her finger on the body. Wipes the tears from her face and then just steps back.
Do you wipe it with the same hand that you touched it with?
Sure.
Cool.
Why not?
I just have to ask. Kind of wipe away, and it doesn't immediately hit. Because it does take a while. It's not a very potent liquid, but your face begins to burn after a little bit. And so does your finger. As it kind of sets in, go ahead and just make me either you can make it a medicine check, an intelligence check, or a nature check. I'll leave it up to you.
They are all the same, so we'll just do straight intelligence.
Go for it. 16. This is some sort of. It feels like acid with how much it's burning. but it isn't like consuming or tearing away at your flesh as it's on you. It just makes it numb and tingling, and it kind of feels like a constant stinging, like you've just been stung by some sort of venom. You don't know exactly what it's from, as if you've never seen this before, but it definitely looks and feels like it is some sort of what could potentially be found otherwhere, just in the natural world, um, some sort of natural occurring ooze. Mainly, and with a 16, I'll say, mainly found in marshy regions of the world. Not too much on the open ocean, nor in someone's body.
I don't think she. Yeah, no, she doesn't have any like vials. Yeah, no, she just kind of sighs frustrated and uses her other arm to try and wipe at her eyes to get the shit off of her, and
Yeah, easily done.
she just turns back to the front of the ship, looks to the back, turns to the side. Just it's like, I don't know what to fucking do. She just walks to the side of the ship, plops down, hangs her legs back over, and she just looks over her shoulder once more and just says to her brother, "Well, I'd say we've gone down a new road."
The form of Ezran still kind of like it didn't move when you did. It stayed put, but the shadowy visage, because you're facing away from him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shadowy visage, while you can't see it, contorts a bit, and the voice that leaves is not Ezran's.
My dear, you are just now beginning to see the real vision behind your journey. Torment, death, pain. It was always part of it. You just hadn't taken your first step. But do not worry, my little star. I will take great pleasure in making sure the ones that did this to you have a wonderful afterlife.
And you just begin to hear in the air around you just this ambient laughing. Kind of filling the chilling night air.
Kipling just kind of crosses her arms across one of the beams and eventually just like buries her head into it and just like starts crying. And moments later, she pulls out her talisman and she just chucks it into the ocean.
Yeah.
And just
With one large swoop, kind of carried by the wind a little bit, goes about 6-7 feet before poosh, entering the ocean.
yeah, and then she'll just pretty much stay. I don't know if she's gonna get much of a
You
rest.
stay awake for the
Yeah,
entire night.
she's probably going to grind through it.
What is Kipley's passive perception?
14.
14? Okay. As you're kind of lolling about on the front of the ship, just slowly watching the sun rise, you feel a slight disturbance in your right pocket.
Just reaches for it.
Kind of feeling it's wet. You see the talisman's there.
She
And
doesn't
there's a
even
little bit
look.
of kind of curled moss on it now.
She just kind of lets lets go of it in her pocket and just... Her eyes slip closed again. She just buries her head in her arms and just sighs.
And upon the new day, Reese and Kipley can both mark down a level of exhaustion. Everyone else gets a long rest. And also, welcome in Mustang. I would
Hey!
suggest
Hey.
I'll give you the quick rundown of what's happening. Are you there, Ash? If you're talking, you're muted.
Faking it.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Oops.
Currently driving at very high speeds, so
Oh
can't
God!
talk much.
Wait, don't focus on that. I will just tell you. I just want to make sure you're there. So essence is everyone just had their own moments of grieving / dealing with the loss of Maeve. We got Maeve's final moments of I was waiting for the photo. We had the final moments of Maeve kind of giving the talisman to Kipley and having a very heartwarming last moment before passing away.
It was awful.
It was beautiful. There was the sad realization with everyone making checks and um, looking around the ship that there was nothing that you could do to bring back Maeve, nor any short form version of magic that could help her because you didn't have the right spells equipped, prepped, or within your possession to bring her back, nor the materials to cast Revivify. So she is, for now, permanently dead. Could be revived in the future, but it would take pretty dang high levels of magic to do so. Or you would have to sacrifice a very powerful magical artifact for a ritual to bring her soul back. But everyone looked around looked around the ship. You found out the sealed deal had some pirate relations. This was not just a random fucking booze cruise. These were terrible fucking people. They were mercenaries out of a island known as Orobunda, which is a pirate city that it was a floating city that washed up on an island, and they kind of made a community there, essentially trading in very specific requests for both item acquisition, um, jobs for stealing things from certain people, things like that nature. And they had just come back there from getting repairs and from a few successful hits on the open ocean. There was a very high DC to finding a hidden chest, and Caitlin / Reese decided to hit a 25 plus investigation check and thieves tools check to just get it done, and got some pretty insane loot from it that you stole, and put it in the vassalship token to be divvied out later. You do know, as a group, by the way, and this is just to both for Ash and everyone else, these are goods that are expected by someone else. Whoever this Celeste lass is expecting these as a delivery, as they did not have the key to open this chest, so it was not theirs, and they were clearly on a route to either deliver it to her, or were just planning to deliver it to her in the future. Including a very powerful, very rare magic item, the first very rare magic item of the game, as in the form of a dancing rapier. Yeah, you have them, and you have a shit ton of gold that was located within it, saying it was from a previous deal that they were paying back. And for better or for worse, all those items are now in your possession. Kipley had a moment where she was going mentally insane on the deck, not taking the death of Maeve very well. She cut off the head of the female hobgoblin that had charmed her with a nat 20, which was awesome. And then watched as her patron turned all of the goblins and hobgoblins on deck into bone trees, into little bone saplings for a very excruciatingly, well, it would be excruciatingly painful if they weren't already dead, but excruciatingly disgusting and extremely kind of tormented vision as all of their bodies snapped in unbelievable ways, twisting to make little disgusting bone trees. And Kipley stuck her finger in some toxic ooze that was forming out of the main body that had charmed her.
I was here for the goop part where she stuck her finger
Oh
in the
yeah,
goop.
oh yeah.
But out of all that stuff, I just have to say really quickly because I'm still driving. That female hobgoblin fucking deserved it. I'm so happy.
100%.
Oh, for sure.
Head.
For sure. I was very happy with the justice given there. Also,
go back.
I gave a little information on the ship that you currently have. The sealed deal is a brig. So it's in terms of the ship world, nowhere close to a dweller. Also not a galleon, so not the biggest of ships in general. But the two launchers, the two grappling cannons, were both of value equal to 2,500 gold, so 2,500 gold each, totaling to 5,000 gold. And the ship's hit points that I wanted to point out for how operable it was, it started out with 350, as that was its base. After the damage done by its owners and all of you, it went down to 147. 100 hit points is the bare minimum that you have to have in order for it to be operable, without it being within risk of sinking. So it's pretty fucked up. No one knows how to sail. No one is proficient with water vehicles for the sea campaign, which I love. And no one knew. No one thought to drop anchor. Luckily, I gave you the benefit of the doubt since you don't really need to sleep too much. That you had the passive perception, and I made a passive intelligence and perception roll for you, and you dropped anchor, so you didn't just drift off in the opposite direction that you were going in.
It was on Reese's mind at one point.
But then you forgot about it and
Then
didn't
she
say that
got
you did
busy.
it, and I was like, cool. I want to see how far this goes. Yeah, Reese spent about 3.5 hours identifying magic items, by the way. You can check out that channel when you get home. But there's a lot. Because you have all the magic items from above deck. And then you stole everything that was inside the chest. So you have a lot at your disposal.
Collected.
Do we have an estimated cost of repairs on this, or are we gonna have to
Well,
that?
that's the thing. None of you have owned a ship before. So as I explained to everyone else earlier, if you would like to keep the sealed deal as a vessel, it would certainly be a safer way than traveling by Drake to Mistran and back. And it was this was a pirate ship, so it may have a little bit of notoriety to it, but if you make it yours, and you pay for both the deed to the ship, the ownership of the ship, and repairs for it, you can absolutely keep it for the future and potentially learn how to sail it. And hopefully someone gets proficiency in doing so, because that would be very useful. As for repairing costs, none of you have been on a ship this size or really repaired a ship this size, so you don't know the cost. Guesstimations, that would be your personal guesses, but you don't really have an estimate as of yet. But once you get to Paradise Peak, if you get to Paradise Peak, you will learn there in the docks. Yeah. That was about it. Mammoth casted a successful Dispel Magic on a spell that would have killed Reese, and probably a bunch of other people. It was a Destructive Wave, a 5th level spell that does, I think it's like, I have to go back and check. I think it's 8d6 worth of damage, which, as we saw from Maeve, can clearly kill a level 5 pretty easily if you roll pretty high. and its effects are pretty bad to the ship as well, so it could have put it in sinking range. Also, Maeve changed their name to Deceased, and it's killing all of us. And in Discord, it's now called Seagull Feed. So Jared, Jared's going for us. 5d10 fire and 5d10 radiant. I don't think that's Destructive Wave. I think that's Flame Strike. Destructive Wave. Let me check.
Deceased characters are not allowed to talk.
Excuse me. It's it is 10d6. It's 5d6 thunder, 5d6 radiant, and the target creature would be knocked prone. Each creature within 30 feet. It's a self radius, so it would have hit the entire deck of the ship, hit the Dragonelles, hit all of you, and very could have easily sunk in the ship. So,
another question.
Shout out to Mammoth.
Question.
Yes,
I just got home, so hopefully it sounds a little better. But the Dragonelles, they're still sticking around, even though.
Yeah, their Dragonelles are still there.
Okay. All right.
They landed on the ship after the incursion calmed down. However, they don't really have anywhere to go. They also weren't just following Maeve. Each one was designated by Maeve's mother to you. So they're not like deathly loyal. They're not gonna follow you into the fucking pits of hell like to die with you. But they're semi obligated to at least stick around until you can say go home or some shit. You can absolutely like just tell them to go back or free them, but until then they're just here.
Understood.
And they all did survive, luckily, even though one was 8 HP. And they regained back all their hit points in the morning as well.
But at what cost?
Yeah. Well, hey. Hey, now. Don't rub salt in a dead seagull's wound. I guess seagull feed wound. I don't know. But Reese put Maeve's body in the captain's quarters with your help. And I think the plan is to try and turn the ship around and head back for Paradise Peak. And now that it is morning and all of you wake up, some with a benefit of a long rest, some with a really bad headache, and a level of exhaustion. What is the plan? What is the direction everyone would like to go in?
I guess Rictus and I were gonna try to learn how to sail a boat.
Yep, try to get us
That
back to the Paradise Peak.
That would be useful, yeah. So, off the bat, it's gonna take you a while. And I'm not gonna give out free proficiency of water vehicles. It's gonna take time. I want both of you to go ahead and give me intelligence check. Straight intelligence. Just your modifiers.
Oh.
9. 920. Okay, goddamn, Reese is just on a roll.
Right?
So,
rolls are pretty nasty tonight.
Here's the thing. It's not that you don't know how a ship works, but you've just never had the responsibility of working a ship by yourselves. And without direction by anyone, and without any proper navigation besides Mammoth being able to lead you back by like general pointing of a direction, this is gonna be very hard to do. So with 20, you begin to point out the major things that need to be done. 1, if you'd like to move, you need to raise the anchor. That is of necessary and import. 2, you'd have to you have to obviously turn around and begin navigating back home. In order to do so, you need to unfurl the sails. These sails have a tie on them. They are looped up by various ropes. I think it's 6 ropes per sail. Dom needs to refresh his sailing knowledge. But each sail needs to be undone by the ropes and unfurled. You have, with a 20 intelligence, to know that once you get closer to Paradise Peak, you will really need to cut back on the sails. Otherwise, you will not be able to control the landing. or the actual like putting the ship into port. With a 20, you get the idea that it's probably best to seek out help from ships in harbor to get you in. If you can see if you can get someone who knows how to actually pilot a ship in on your on board before you pull it in, because even if a 20, you know you will not be able to properly steer the ship. In best conditions, even if someone was proficient with water vehicles, it would be hard to do it. None of you know how to helm a ship. It's going to be very hard to do it. So your best option is to get close to Paradise Peak, contact somebody either using Mustang sending, or using one of your vassal ship tokens to reach out for help, and then having someone come out of harbor and to pull your ship back in, essentially.
We can't Santa sleigh ride this bitch with the wormlings.
No. Well, first off, okay, let me just. Dom is curious, so let me look it up. What is the average weight of a brig? Of a brigantine ship? Is the cool. So that's 220 tons. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that 6 Dragonelles can't really pull that successfully and accurately. Dragonelles are not strong creatures. They are made for long-term flight and have very they're still muscular bodies, but like even an adult dragon would have a somewhat hard time pulling one of these. 6 small ones, not gonna do the job.
But
could it potentially help go faster? Maybe a little
it's
bit.
Christmas.
But
don't you know how this works?
Okay. Well, if this was on December 25th, then maybe there would be some magic, some animus in the air.
All right, fair
Unfortunately,
enough.
not kidding. Yeah, no. In terms of like navigation, maybe they could help bring you home in the terms of they know where home is. But actual like aiding the ship's speed, nah, not really. But speed's also not something you have to worry about because you have a lot of sails. It's more of navigation and like trying to accurately avoid anything that might pop up on your journey. But over a course of about 2.5 hours, it's about now like 10 o'clock in the day, you begin to accurately bring the ship in the right direction with the help of Mammoth and with the aid of both Reese, Rictus, and Mustang, and slowly begin your journey back to Paradise Peak. Now, for the sake of sakes, I will need someone to roll me a D100. I can confirm it won't be a combat encounter, but there is still a chance that you run into something on your way back because you are still a day's travel away from Paradise Peak.
I've rolled a lot tonight. I vote for
Yeah.
Mammoth.
I
There
was
you
gonna
go.
say, Jared, would
fair
you
enough,
like to roll that since you won't be doing much rolling else
Yeah.
otherwise? If you don't want to, Mammoth can do it as well. I think it'd just be poetic that Maeve gets a Kraken for everyone else.
Fair.
You're coming with
Okay.
me. Wait, did Jared say BRB? Oh, he did say BRB and never said back. Okay,
Oh,
Jared's not here.
bastard.
Mammoth!
All right.
Alright,
21.
then 21. Bobbity bobbity. Oh, I was actually really close to your previous roll. Alright.
My previous roll?
21. No, the encounter that got the ship.
Oh.
Ship encounter was 49.
What?
Alright, so 21. Let's see.
Mammoth's curious about how the math checks out.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not each D100 is not a separate encounter always.
Oh,
Sometimes it
not
goes
every
in
single-
terms
Oh,
of
yeah,
5.
okay.
So it's like
Fair enough.
it's
Like, what?
49, but it's only 4 off from getting a 20 because it goes in increments of 5 for this sheet.
Mhm.
It
Dog.
sounds I know it sounds different outside, but when I'm looking at sheet, I'm like, it goes in 5s. Like, what are you talking about here? I like this one. So on your way back, I have to go get. I think I have this ready. I think I have it downloaded. Do
Oh
I?
man.
I do. Woo! About it's early when this happens. You leave around like 10:30. You successfully set off in the direction of Paradise Peak, with both the Dragonelles and Mammoth Stone leading you in the right direction. However, it's not a very sunny day outside. In fact, it's building up to be kind of a windy day, not favoring your direction. However, it seems like the winds are going in separate directions, kind of branching off in their own way. The weather becoming very unpredictable, as it is normally in Paradise Peaks, in this world's oceans. It's not a very stable place in the Shrouded Isles, and this is looks like to be building up a little bit of a storm. And as you begin setting out, probably about around 12 o'clock, maybe pushing close to like 12:15, 12:30, some rain clouds begin to set in, and a soft mist begins to cover the ocean. Kind of a dull fog rolling in around you, kind of impairing your travel, if not for having your once-a-day use of this, Mammoth. So you are forced to use it if you want to successfully get back without worrying about it. However, in the mist, you begin to hear this kind of eerie creak. Just back and forth, just almost what sounds like wood creaking back and forth. And within the mist, you see a house floating nearby. And on the porch, you see a cloaked figure in a rocking chair, slowly rocking back and forth. And as your ship begins to approach, the mist begins to clear a little bit. You can see the figure waves a hand at you. Game visuals. It's not as sunny as it is in the picture, but the house is accurate.
Me when I play Raft.
Building the most magnificent mansion on the raft.
Honestly.
Yeah. You see, it looks like to be some sort of domicile. There's lights. You can tell that there's some sort of house-like structure. You don't see any other people on the raft except for the one silhouetted figure in the rocking chair. But as you approach, you can feel your ship kind of slowing, not coming to a stop, but slowing as you get nearby. What is anybody, if not everybody, doing?
Reese is just overseeing the whole project. 30 to 45 seconds.
That's a very precise number. Anyone else? Rictus?
I think Rictus would still try to be focused on keeping his ship straight.
The ship's already set. It's already locked.
So we're
in.
good.
Like,
okay.
So here's the good and the bad. The bad is you cannot precisely navigate the ship.
Mhm.
But since you can't precisely navigate the ship, it means that you can literally just leave the helm once you're pointing in the right direction by Mayof's guidance, and it's not going to budge because of how fucked up it is. You have a hard time turning it to begin with, but if you just lock it in and leave it there, it's not gonna move. So Jared, while you were gone, a little bit of a storm came in. It's foggy. Everyone is setting back towards Paradise Peak, and they just saw a house appear out of the mist on some sort of floating raft, and there was a cloaked figure that waved at them in a rocking chair on the deck, on the kind of like the porch of what this floating house would be.
I have a
Is he old
DM
with bad
question.
back?
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's up?
Has Mammoth seen a dweller?
You. Uh,
I don't
go
think
ahead.
so,
Go ahead.
but
Go ahead and roll me. Go ahead. And just roll me a straight D20 roll. 15 or above, you've seen. Okay, no. It'd be very hard. It'd be very hard for you on your island that was pretty isolated, to see any dwellers passing by. You've seen ships. You know what a ship is. You've seen ships pass by occasionally, and when they did, it was like a fun event that like your entire family would go and like run to the edge of the island and like watch them pass as they did. But a dweller, you've never seen one before in your life.
okay.
You would
Mammoth definitely
like
thinks that's a dweller then.
you've heard that they're floating cities on top of ships. So like
Oh
you
yeah.
have that the first time impression of like, I thought they were bigger. Like if this is a dweller, this is a very small dweller for some reason. But the rest of you who actually have lived and have traveled on dwellers before know this is nowhere near big enough to be considered a dweller. This is literally just what looks like to be a normal house on the ocean. So,
Rictus would
as
wave
you begin
back
to
and.
approach,
Oh,
what
sorry.
are we doing?
Rictus would wave back and just yell out "Ahoy!"
You yell out, "Ahoy!"
Yeah.
This ship is so fucking wrecked. He's probably thinking, "What the hell?"
Yeah. Do you feel going on over there?
Mhm.
Oh, you know, that's the weird part, not the house floating in the middle of nowhere. You see the figure wave once more, and as you get close, you're now about 90 feet from one another as the ship begins to come to a slow. Once you're like around this house, you realize the ship is slowing because there's no wind here. All of the scattering of winds seems to be the eye of whatever is occurring outside, and you're now just kind of in dead water, not moving. And as the ship moves probably about like 2 feet per round, you begin to slowly coast up to the house, and you hear this gentle voice call out, "Hello! Who's there?" "Good day, weary travelers."
We all hear that.
It's distant, shouting out from the figure as they wave.
Oy. How far away are they?
About 90 feet. Get a little closer. Does anyone say anything back?
No.
Okay. Rictus?
Reese sort of just glared at Rictus when he said anything.
I guess Rictus will kind of walk closer to the edge of the ship to get a little bit closer
Mhm.
to him. And he'll just kind of yell out, "My name's Rictus Nordrum the Seventh. Who are you?"
I love the idea of that. Everyone else going deathly silent, and then Rictus dropping the full government name, shouting out to the stranger. It's so good. You hear, "Oh, hello! My name's Bob. It's my house. I see you're passing by, and your ship looks like to be in terrible wear. Would you like to come in, stop by for a cup of tea or something?
I don't.
I just made a fresh batch of bread. It appears that your ship's in terrible condition. Are you sure you should be sailing in such things? There's a storm outside.
Yes, and I've noticed it's kind of calm here.
Of course. Be having any rain bashing in on the windows, destroying a perfectly good batch of baked goods.
I mean, we appreciate the offer. It sounds really nice, but we're kind of pressed on time at the moment.
What's the rush? The storm's gonna be holding up for a few hours.
Yeah, but I don't know how much longer this boat's gonna hold up. So
You see the kind of lean forward in a skin suit. It's big teeth I have. No. They kind of lean forward and look at the ship and go, "Oh, my dearie dears. Because you did suffer quite the catastrophe to your hull and your deck. My oh my, whatever happened?"
it was a rough night. We'll just leave it at that.
Terribly sorry to hear. You have my condolences. Well, if you were to pull your ship up aside to my house, I would not mind having my companion take a look. He's a master bowsman.
Rictus will turn and look at the group to see what they think. Should we just keep going, or?
Excuse me, a bosun. Bosuns are ship caretakers.
Gotcha.
Kipley just bags under her eyes, just walks to the side of the ship, stands next to Rictus and looks outward towards the house and just yells out, "We just lost our friend. This isn't our ship. We've acquired it because our friend died. And we just murdered everyone else on this ship. Do you still want to help us?"
You hear just a slight of the chair rocking back and forth, and you hear, "Would you be surprised if that's the second time I've heard that story?"
Can she insight check this?
Go ahead and make me an insight check. 17? Cool. One moment. You aren't sure if they're full of shit or not, but there's a very slight chance that they're telling the truth.
All right.
Very hard to tell. And with all of the conditions you're in, and them being for the long distance, and you just judging off of how they say it, they wouldn't be. It almost sounds like they aren't lying with how calmly they reacted, but like they didn't seem to be dissuaded by the outward admission to murder.
Sounds good.
Didn't seem to bother them.
Okay.
Anything further with a 17? I mean, is there anything you're looking for besides just outright lying?
I mean, she's aside from lying, she's trying to gauge if they
Crazy?
or if there's like any malintent, I guess, is what she's kind of.
With a 17, I mean, malintent, you don't sense any.
Okay.
You don't know whether or not you rolled high enough to fully gauge
that's
whether or not
fair.
there is any or not. But you have like a strong confidence that like they aren't outwardly lying to a point where like oh yes, come closer so I can bite your head off. It's not. It doesn't seem anything like that. It just seems like you're a little perturbed by how friendly they are.
Mm-hmm.
But also don't sense any outward like deceit.
Yep, fair enough.
It's just weirdly nice.
All right, that'll work.
Okay. I'll bring us back.
That's cool.
You you get the response from the strange character. What we all do? They do not seem perturbed by murder. At least not that you can tell.
Can barely hear you. Hello. There we go.
Yeah. You get the response from Kipley's outward admission to murder. What is everyone doing?
Shooting my dick.
What? What?
Okay.
What
I
did
give
you
up.
say?
Never mind. Never mind.
It
Doesn't
didn't-
matter.
No,
I'm gonna put it out there,
no.
It did not sound like shit.
Pause the session.
It did not.
Pause
Yes.
the
It sound-
session.
Hey, what do
we
you
will-
think you guys said?
We will
It
move
sounded
no
like something
further.
else.
We will move no further until I get exactly what you just tried to say.
Yeah,
What I
I think we
intended
all
to
heard
say
very different things
was
there.
shitting my dick.
There was no shit. It was just it was. I swear,
Yeah,
it sounded like eating your dick.
That's what
you
I heard.
I thought
too.
you said beating.
It sounded like you said either eating or
I did.
beating, and I was
No, guys.
so concerned.
That is not what I said.
So concerned, Ryan.
All right.
Mammoth learned a new pastime that day. All right.
No, we did it. Shut it.
Moving
You're
on.
pretty-
Moving on.
I'm 8.
God damn.
8.
In human years.
I mean, in human terms, in halfling terms, he's older, but
Like
it's
13.
a weird. We're not getting into it. What are we doing? God damn it.
Nothing weird.
Yeah, I trust that.
So
What is
should
the
we-
response to the call?
Rictus is still looking at the group. Should we stop or keep going?
We've got places to be.
Where do we have to be?
Well, we need to get back to. I just drew a blank. Paradise Peak.
Where have we spent the last 16 sessions?
Right? I don't think we should delay any longer.
Tell him we'll take a rain check, and if we ever come across him again, we'll eat his bread.
Kipley looks back out towards the house.
Still rocking.
We're trying to head to Paradise Peak. Do you have a faster way through the storm?
This storm is going to hold up for another 4 or 5 hours. You might as well take a respite here. If you continue on, it could be treacherous. Losing your way on the ocean. Drastic winds changing directions. Anything could happen.
She turns back towards the rest of the group. She thinks more of us could die.
So, Kipley, do you think we should stop? What do you think?
With 47, 147, 100. If it was 47, you'd already be sunk.
But but don't we need at least 100 to operate it?
Yes.
Mhm.
100 minimum to be able to stay afloat. Anything beneath that, even by 1 hit point, boat begins to sink.
Kipley just shrugs and she just.
My map is sound.
I got you,
didn't
Ash.
see. Oh, sorry, Ash. I didn't see 2 spare. I just saw a boat
Mhm.
with 47 hit points because I looked over quickly.
Because you skim.
I apologize. I do skim. Of course I skim. I'm trying to read my notes and Discord. Leave me alone.
Yeah, Kibbley just shrugs over at Rictus and just kind of shakes her head. I mean, what are we speeding back for?
Just thought it would. Just thought we were just trying to get Maeve back as soon as possible. I mean,
Well,
I don't know.
She's dead. We can't do anything for her.
Reese shrugs her shoulders. Can we secure our boat to your house ship?
Oh, of course. I can have my companion take care of it.
Who is your companion?
That would be Rob.
And you are Bob?
Bob. You have an excellent memory.
Don't be sarcastic with me, old man.
Oh. Sassy, aren't we?
Well, we did just tell you that our friend died and we murdered a boat full of whatever the fuck they were.
Condolences.
Also, we have a bunch of dragonelles here that we haven't fed in a bit.
Ooh, do they eat baked goods?
No, they mostly eat just houses.
Houses?
And they eat the bodies of all the
Dragonelle?
things we just slayed.
Oh, they can for sure eat the bodies. Goblin is like it's not a great food. They're kind of a still monstrous creature. But they can be used as feed. There's
Just
also like
greasy
also,
like raccoons.
well, yeah, no. You also forget there's
Little
food
gamey.
on the ship. Like they have, the ship has stolen. The Seal Deal has stolen from many different ships. There is
Mhm.
for sure crates of food that can be used for both you and the Dragonelles. There's at least I think I wrote it down back here. I think there's at least like a month's worth of food left. Yeah, there's
How
2
many other
months of food. There's 2 months of food aboard the Seal Deal,
How many
so
other
you
people
can for sure spare.
live with you on your houseboat?
Oh, just me and Rob.
She like raises an eyebrow at him. Like it's a big house for 2 people.
We like to keep the space. We leave it open for visitors. Those who find their way to us, I assume.
And what happens to those visitors that find their way to you?
Well, I offer bread, goods, tea. Stories are always nice in exchange. I like to meet people.
We're a bit strung out, Bob.
You what?
We're a bit strung out. We've had a
Strung
long
out?
fucking night.
Oh, yes, your friend died.
Yeah, you could, not say it so, fuck it.
I apologize. I had forgotten until I remembered, and I had to say it out loud to remind myself.
Look, we don't. I know we're coming off a bit harsh, and yeah, we don't
Oh, it's
mean any
alright.
harm. We're trying to get somewhere. Our friend just died.
Most people shoot at us instead, so this is actually a very good conversation so far.
Do you need anything? Are you lacking things? Like, is there a way we can help you before we, fuck
Oh,
off?
The company would be nice. I don't get many visitors.
All right, look.
Besides Rob.
She kind of turns back to the rest of the group. We're not getting anywhere in the storm, right? On our own?
True.
We may as well just do this and
All right, I guess secure the boat to the side of their house and take the sails down.
I'll stay on the boat if you guys want, so we have someone keeping an eye on things out here.
You're the one that waved them down, Rictus.
I just waved. He waved first. Okay, I'll go.
So as you begin to approach, oh wonderful! Let me go get Rob. Rob, get the ropes ready. And you hear a little as semi-heavy footfalls begin to make their way towards the door. And you see, as you begin to approach the house, and you're moving at a very slow pace. It's literally it's dead air. There's no wind at all, so you're just drifting by the motion of the ocean, baby. As you begin to pull up, this large 8-foot tall, kind of wooden looking man walks out, gives you all a friendly wave, and looks like he's carrying heavy, thick ropes. This is not hempen rope or silken rope. This is ropes used to tie ships to docks and is massive. Like, if you guys, like, Rictus would probably get crushed underneath this. Mamp would definitely get crushed underneath this if we were to try and carry it. You see this massive, like, almost wooden, tree sprite looking dude as Rob comes out and begins throwing out ropes to you to attach to the ship to begin to pull it in. And this is what Rob looks like. He's just a tall little dude. A fairy tale-esque music. It was a beautiful experience tonight. Thank you.
I am Rob.
I
I
am
was thinking the
Rob.
same thing.
Right.
Yeah. And as you approach, you can see Bob from underneath the cloak kind of begins to walk inside and kind of give a very wrinkly hand gesture for all of you to follow.